is not fully out of the question. If it's pouring, yes.
we
But we definitely have flown in light rain. I'm still a little salty because last year 2 photographers stole my umbrellas and never gave them back.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Gimbal Guys podcast. I am your host, Samuel, and sitting with my co-host, Nicholas. Felt like using full names today. How are you doing today, Nick?
I'm good. I'm actually glad we have today because I have shoots like 6 days in a row, and this is like the one day I have off. So we're doing this.
Yeah. we're in... I think we've said before, we do a lot of commercial work outside of weddings, and I think we're in that mode where everybody's just trying to squeeze in their last shoots of the year before the holidays.
We're filming it the week before Christmas, and this whole week is full of stuff.
It is
last minute
absolutely
things.
Insane. But I do have some good news. We both won in our fantasy football playoff games this week.
Yeah, but I don't want to speak too soon. That was the first round. It was the wild card. Now we're in the semifinals.
I didn't think my team was gonna pull it through, but we got it done.
To be honest, I totally even forgot to pay attention. Then Brandon texted me like 11 o'clock last night. I was asleep, and then I woke up and saw it. I was like, oh yeah, I should probably check. I beat my brother out by like 5 points or something.
It's gonna be a close end to the season. We're on opposite sides of the bracket, so we could be matched up in the championship. Yeah. But I don't know. We'll see. If I win this game, I'm guaranteed.
Wait, regular season? Do we play twice?
I
assume so.
I have no idea.
Well, I just know the last time we played, I won.
Yeah, put that out there. Well, my team was good this year. I'm not usually that good. I think I just got lucky. But Tyreek is not doing great. That's a conversation.
The Dolphins suck.
But yeah. Anyway, that's good stuff. Today we're talking about, well, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about rain on your wedding day, because this past wedding season we happen to have more rain weddings than we have in the past. So we figured it was something we should bring up and talk about how we handle them and how we, just navigate through the day, because obviously there are some changes.
Yeah. I think 2023 for the Northeast was like crazy in terms of rain. A lot of our friends are telling us that like it rained basically the entire summer, like every Saturday. We got, I think we had 2 inclement weather weddings in 2023, but 2024 there's a handful of them. But yeah, today is kind of to just talk about what you as a couple should do in those scenarios, and then like what we do as vendors when there is rain forecasted on a wedding day. I think where it all starts is the planning process. It actually all starts with your venue.
Simply having a rain plan.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably always going to bring it back to my process searching for wedding venues and kind of like what I was looking for. But one of the first questions I asked each of the venues is, what's the rain plan? And you almost kind of have to fall in love with the rain plan and not the main plan, because you just kind of have to expect things will go wrong on the wedding day. So you're not like stressed out, making sure everything is absolutely perfect. I don't know if you feel differently, but that's just kind of like been my perspective.
Get where you're coming from. It just seems so pessimistic to me. Like you expect it to fall through. Out of all people,
I would have expected you to agree with that.
I don't know. I feel like you choose your wedding thing for plan A.
Yeah.
Make sure you like plan B, but yeah.
Yeah, because I think specifically in, Rhode Island, there's a lot of very coastal venues, and their plan A is like these gorgeous ocean views, outdoor.
Yeah, I think the coastal like beach weddings have the worst, like the drastic change from plan A to plan B, which is hard.
Yeah,
some of them are like, okay, plan B is still really good, but for the ones that plan A is like immaculate, and then you have to deal with a subpar plan B, that stuff.
Yeah, I ended up going with a completely indoor venue situation to kind of just like even eliminate that possibility. It's kind of just only like one plan for the ceremony site, and I think that's going to work out well logistically. It also helps keep things in one place, but that's a whole other issue. But yeah, it all kind of starts with the plans, where you're actually getting married, how flexible they are with the rain, and you can kind of tell when you're feeling out venues, like if they are confident in their rain plan or if they're kind of like, oh, like we don't need to worry about that. Like I think most venues, if they're a good venue, they'll be very confident in what their backup plan is. So that's probably something you should look out for. I guess what other aspects can you plan for in the case of rain? So we know like having a backup plan for like your ceremony setup, but like I guess what other sorts of things do you need to worry about as a couple when you're in the planning process?
I don't know. I feel like, well, ceremony is definitely the biggest thing that will change. I guess, you know, where you take your couple's portraits and that type of thing, like that can be impacted for sure.
Yeah, that's probably the other big one. It's like, again, you don't get married for the photos, for the content, but it's something to think about. If you're spending a lot of money on a venue, you want to make sure, you know, if you booked out this beautiful garden and you can't go out into the garden because it's pouring rain, like that's an issue. So that's something you also have to plan for. You gotta, I guess it still comes back to the venue. You just got to make sure you're also in love with the indoor space or the tented space or wherever you are, right?
Yeah, like the type of person you are helps too. Like if you are very go with the flow and willing to adapt really quickly to these changes, that makes our day a lot easier. Because, for example, for this past year, like the one where it pretty much just rained all day during all the photos, wedding party photos, couples photos, we had clear umbrellas and everything. We were just walking around town getting soaked, but the couple was still smiling throughout the entire thing, wanting to continue. So they were happy, so we were happy. Like I was happy to stay soaked, and like I didn't have an umbrella. I was just getting wet out there.
Yeah, I think that is the absolutely most important thing, is your attitude as a couple towards things that may not go to plan on your wedding day. Like rain is usually just the major one people think of, but there's plenty of other things that can and will go wrong on your wedding day. So I think it's all about just keeping that open mind and rolling with the punches when they happen. You just want to make sure you are a little bit more flexible on your wedding day, and that will allow you to actually enjoy yourself more. Because if you're just thinking about the weather all the time, you're just going to be worried, stressed, and you're not going to be having fun. And we've seen that happen before.
Yeah, we had another one where it rained and they were not happy about it.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the biggest change was the ceremony. Like the whole morning was fine. We were able to do everything outside. We even got the couple's portraits, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I think we got all that shot. And then right up, like pretty much an hour or so before the ceremony, it was on the fringe of like, is it going to rain? Is it going to not rain?
Yeah.
And they ultimately made the call to do it indoors, which definitely did not make the bride happy. But I mean, it did rain, so like it was the right call.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if that was like communicated to them like beforehand, because I think again, when I was going through this venue search myself, I was kind of like, all right, well, like what is your process for the rain plan? A lot of them were like, ultimately we'll make the call as the venue. So I'm wondering if
I don't like that.
Yeah.
It should be up to them, the couple. I mean.
Yeah. There's some of them, but like if you expect it to be up to the venue, then you also can't get like frustrated when they might make a business decision or something like that. But yeah, I guess you just kind of have to know what you're getting into.
I had one, I was second shooting. This was probably 2 years ago.
Oh gosh, I remember this.
And fortunately, we weren't at a real venue. It was just at like this public park, basically. I think it actually was just a straight up public park. So there was no one to tell us, you know, we can't or like can or cannot do something. It was totally just up to the people sitting out there. And it was looking fine. Like we did not expect rain at all. And then all of a sudden, dark clouds started rolling in and everyone was like, wait a second, is it going to rain? No one was prepared. And it started pouring literally in the middle of the ceremony. And it wasn't one of these like short ceremonies. It was probably like a good 30, 40 minutes. And as soon as it started raining, whoever had like a single umbrella from their car, like ran and got it, instantly gave umbrellas to the couple. And that was like priority number one. And then the couple basically looked out at everyone who was getting soaked and were like, if you guys are fine with it, we're just going to keep going. And they were all like, yeah, let's do it. So we all got soaked, but it was still a fun time.
It's like if everybody's into it too, like that certainly helps the vibe.
Yeah, the couple was loving it. It's a memory for sure, like getting married in the pouring rain.
Yeah.
And I just remember for our cameras, there was a like restaurant across the street. So right before the ceremony, we ran over to the restaurant and asked them for trash bags, and then cut holes in the trash bags to cover our cameras on the side.
Yeah, smart. And I think we'll get into kind of like what we do as vendors to prepare for like rain scenarios.
Yeah.
But just a little bit more about kind of like what you can do to plan for these scenarios, and how you can just be prepared, or kind of some other stories that we had this year. In particular, I remember we did one backyard wedding this year where rain was in the forecast. It was kind of misty most of the day. And I think those sorts of situations, it gets a little bit more tricky because it is, I mean, again, you can make the final call as the couple. You have a little bit more control over the situation, but then you also don't have as much control. Because I'm thinking specifically, there was a moment where I think the DJ's sound went out, and I don't know if that was like related to rain or not.
Yeah, I don't know either. But you're talking about B.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to name any names.
Yeah, I won't say names this time.
Keep people anonymous. But yeah, it was actually June was a rainy month. June, all of our weddings in June were
I think we had a
rainy.
couple back to back, that were rain. But yeah, the sound definitely did cut out. It might have just been like an extension cord problem. But
But the other thing about that day in the other June weddings, I feel like maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like most of the time it's not raining the absolutely entire day, except there was one where it was pretty much raining the whole day.
yeah, we've only had the one pretty much.
But other than that, usually there's a pocket or two where you can step outside and get some shots, or just be outside to be outside if you're sick of being indoors.
Yeah.
At least in the Northeast, maybe it's different in other areas in the country where like it will rain the entire day. I know if you're in Florida, it'll rain for like 20 minutes without any notice, and then it'll be done pretty much every afternoon. So I'm sure people down there have to plan for that all the time. But yeah, usually you can find a pocket to do something. It's all about adapting to the situation too. It's just get out there, do your thing, go with the flow, be a little bit relaxed about it, and usually it'll work out in the end.
I mean, that one specifically, they were totally for it.
Yeah.
They were like prancing around barefoot in the rain. Like, it was a great time.
Yeah. So sometimes rain makes for very fun events. Like,
I actually if unless it's like a full on downpour, that's kind of sucky. But if it's raining and it's bearable to be out in it, I actually like it. Like, I think the shots come out pretty good. Another time, second shooting a couple years ago, I remember one of the shots, like one of my favorite shots was, we had this open road. No one was on it. So we had our couple like just frolic kind of down the middle of the road, and we could see like the slight little raindrops dropping. And like, that was one of my favorite shots.
yeah. And I know some videographers who made films kind of like they made the rain like a character. And so it tells the story of the wedding day kind of like authentically. Like, if you try to like shy away from it, then it's like whatever. I think you just need to embrace it. That kind of like leads me to, like, we talked about kind of like what couples do to prepare for the rain and be comfortable with the possibility of rain being on your wedding day. But like, there are a few things we do as vendors to just be prepared. I think one little thing that we like to include in our kit when there's rain in the forecast is we invested in these clear umbrellas. I think a lot of photographers have them, a lot of planners have them, but we bring a handful as well.
Always bring the clear. Like, black is fine, but any other color, no. Clear, I think, is the way to go.
Yeah. Well, I think clear is definitely the way to go, and probably don't even need like a black one, just because if you need to be a little bit more under the umbrella, we can still, see the couple.
Yeah.
And it doesn't like block anything in the environment. Like it almost feels like it's not there. And like the moments when we used the clear umbrella this year, like I think those shots came out.
They're
like,
fully
really
usable, great. And yeah, they're good.
Yeah,
I'm still a little salty because last year 2 photographers stole my umbrellas and never gave them back. So I had to buy new ones.
Cheap enough on Amazon anyway. So yeah, like if you don't have vendors with clear umbrellas for your wedding or whatever, you should, and rain is in the forecast, just Amazon Prime them. They'll come the next day most likely.
Most planners probably have them.
Yeah.
Like you said, we have like 4 or 5 that I just keep them in my trunk at this point.
Yeah. I mean, now we're fortunate enough to like work with planners and coordinators who think ahead and have those things anyway. So they're kind of more so just for us in those situations. But yeah, like I remember there was a specific shot we got at the wedding where it was pouring all day, where the couple was kind of like crossing the street in the downtown area. It was like kind of dark and moody. There were car lights. They were holding the umbrella, crossing the street, and it was, I don't know, I thought it was just like such a vibe. They were also on a lakefront too, so there was a few awesome shots with the dark clouds behind them walking out on the docks. And I thought those actually made like some really great results. I think a lot of people too, when it comes to rain on weddings, understandably, they like look to the photographers and videographers like, can you guys still do your job? And I think,
yeah, I guess that's true.
With 2024, like technology, things that we have available to us, I like it's not as much of a factor.
If
but
you're
we're also a little reckless.
If you're a good videographer, photographer, your camera gear should be weatherproofed.
Yeah.
Like, and if you're a professional, your gear should be weatherproofed.
Yeah, I used to say, I'm like, oh, all my gear is weatherproof, but I had an experience earlier this year with one of my like longer lenses where I learned the hard way that it wasn't weatherproof, and I had some issues.
I never thought that brand was advertised to be weatherproof. We kind of just treat them like they are, but technically I don't think they are.
Yeah, I just assumed it was. But in scenarios like that, we'll be prepared with trash bags, raincoats, things like that.
Have you even seen little camera umbrellas that like go into the camera's hot shoe?
I've never seen that.
Like a camera-sized umbrella.
Send me the link. We should get a few of those. But yeah, like we make sure we're prepared, as prepared as we can be. And I think if you end up working with either of us, you'll realize we're pretty go with the flow and we don't really care about getting wet.
Yeah, don't care about getting wet. Our gear can handle it. And like you said, we do put our gear in a little more harm than maybe the average person would, but we get unique shots that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Because even flying a drone in the rain for us is not fully out of the question. If it's pouring, yes. But we definitely have flown in light rain multiple times, and it still works.
I will say, I don't ever purposefully fly in rain. I usually take off when it's dry, and it usually starts raining while it's in the sky. And I'm like, oh, well, it's up there now.
It's like, oh, well, it's up there now.
I didn't see this on the radar. But yeah, we're pretty confident in those scenarios. I think anytime there's like standing water, like if you're in an outdoor tent, that's I think when it gets a little dicey, but we do our best to adapt in those scenarios where we're moving gear to the appropriate place, putting it back in our car, whatever. Just thinking on our feet. And that goes with not just rain, but kind of like any scenario that comes up on a wedding day.
Yeah.
I think the vendors that probably have the one vendor that probably has the toughest time with
the DJ
rain is DJ, because
just for electrical problems.
Yeah. None of that stuff is weatherproof.
Water
you get like
and
a very
electricity
specific,
don't mix.
Yeah, unless you get a very specific DJ board, I'm pretty sure none of it is actually meant to be anywhere close to water.
I'll say his name. I just remember Brandon like running back and forth like from his van to like the tent, like sprinting, carrying all of his shit. And I was like, God, I just feel so bad for him.
But hey, he got the job done. So shout out to Brandon from Get Down Tonight.
He's great.
He rolls with the punches. He's a good team member. Yeah, so DJs have it rough, but I think usually they're all right if they have some sort of cover. if they don't have some cover provided from the venue, they need to have like a easy up tent or something like that, like a quick shade.
I
as we used to
remember
call it.
one guy. I don't remember if he was a good DJ or not. I think he was okay, but he didn't have a tent. It started raining at the ceremony. Fortunately, the venue did have a spare tent, so they're like, okay, yeah, here you go. We don't have time to help you set it up. They're like, you're gonna have to do this on your own. And he's like, you know what, it's fine. Thanks for the tent. So he went out and did it. Realized there's a hole in the tent.
Oh gosh.
So and this is like to cover all of his electrical equipment outdoors for the ceremony, because the ceremony was gonna stay outside, and he basically had to take an umbrella and plug the hole in the tent with an umbrella to save his stuff.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, DJs definitely have it rough when it comes to rain. I mean, I can't even imagine bands. Like if you're a band, you're not really like, most of the time the reception's inside anyway. But if for some reason you were required to run the audio for the ceremony, I mean, I guess it would just be a DJ setup anyway. But yeah, trying to fit all of those people under a tent.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I haven't seen it as much, but I wonder if I would assume floral designers kind of have a hard time with rain in some cases. Like maybe if they have a kind of like delicate design or something like that, and it's just like pouring
Maybe.
rain.
I feel like, I'm not gonna say they have it easy by any means, but I don't think they have too hard of a time. Like sure, if it's crazy windy and like the heavy rain
like
drops,
stormy,
and if certain flowers might be more fragile than others, then yeah, I can definitely see that damaging
probably
some
helps
things.
them in some cases. Like if it was supposed to be a dry, hot day, then they don't have to worry about.
I mean, yeah, I know
watering stuff.
They have to mist their flowers. I know that. So like, yeah, they save some time doing that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, again, all comes back to just adapting and being prepared for the worst case scenarios. And I think we do that pretty well. A lot of the vendors we work with do it pretty well. So it's just all about kind of like rolling with those punches. Yeah. Any other thoughts on rain at weddings? I feel like this was kind of a quick one, but there's only so much you can really talk about. Like,
yeah, no, I think that's more or less it. I mean, it's inevitable.
Oh yeah,
like it's more or less going to happen for anything. If it's in like the wet season specifically, like be prepared. And like you said,
May, June.
Get ready for plan B. And I get it. You planned your day perfectly and like you want it to be perfect. Trust me, I get it. But you have to understand that things will go wrong and you got to just roll with it.
Yeah. We had a couple in 2023 where they had to move their ceremony site inside, and that ceremony site was less than ideal. And I remember them being really, really upset about it. But by the time the end of the night came and they were partying, they probably completely forgot about it. Like, and that's the real thing to remember is like, you're not really going to, I guess, care that much if you're looking back years in advance if it rained on your wedding. I know my parents had rain on their wedding day. They couldn't care less about it. And I think everybody tells you to like rain on your wedding day is good luck. I think that's just it's BS. I think it's just something to make you feel better. But hey, if you believe in that, believe in that. If that makes you feel better, go for it. I think that's something to remember on the day.
I relate us telling people that to make them feel better. The same type of energy that we're like, come on, you can do better than that. Give me one more cheer, louder. Like just some stupid little line that we always have to say.
Yeah. But hey, you got to keep the morale up. Like,
yeah.
It can't be doom and gloom on your wedding day.
Right.
But yeah, I think that wraps this one up. Obviously, make sure you guys follow along on Spotify. Leave us a 5-star review. Follow us on Instagram at SeaMount Weddings. Subscribe to us on YouTube, which is also at SeaMount Weddings. And if you are planning a 2025 or our books are now open for 2026. If you're planning a wedding in one of those years, feel free to hit us up at SeaMountWeddings.com and we'll shoot you a video. All right.
Bye.
Bye.